I saved the company with a single line of code. A week later, I was fired, and my boss was promoted. But what happened next? Revenge was sweeter than his promotion. See, I worked at a mid-sized startup in Austin, Texas. Nothing too flashy. We made internal analytics tools for logistics companies. The kind of software that no one outside the industry gives a damn about. But inside, it was everything. A single dashboard could save millions if you knew what to track. I was just a back-end engineer. Not senior, not junior, just stuck in the middle, like an overlooked socket in the wall. My name is Travis, by the way. Travis Dean. And for almost a year, I gave that company more than I gave my own life. Skipped vacations. Skipped sleep. Skipped friends' weddings, and even my own birthday 1 year just to finish building what would become their flagship tool. They called it Nerveline. I built it from scratch, at least the core logic. It was meant to automate predictive rerouting for delivery trucks during peak hours. It took in massive loads of data, weather, traffic, driver patterns, you name it, and spit out optimized routes in real time. Simple in theory, hellish in practice. For 6 straight months, I worked late every night. Overtime? Not a dime. My manager, Rick Stanton, would peek his greasy head in now and then, mutter something like, "Appreciate you hanging in there," and then vanish like a fart in the wind. The worst part? I never minded. Not at first. I believed in the product. I believed in the mission. We were all in together, or so I thought. Then, 3 weeks ago, we hit a wall. One of our largest clients, Titan Edge Freight, was about to walk. The software was underperforming in high-traffic metros. Their drivers were getting jammed up, shipments delayed, contracts threatened. The mood in the office turned dark real quick. Everyone from finance to marketing was bracing for layoffs. But I stayed calm. I knew exactly what the issue was. So I fixed it. 2 weeks. No sleep. Just me, coffee, and the sound of vending machine hum at 3 a.m. I rewrote the route recalculation module, cleaned up the data validation layers, and reduced processing time by 42%. On Friday, I pushed the update live. By Monday morning, Titan Edge was ecstatic. Their VP sent over a case study calling the update a miracle fix. And that is when things got weird. Rick called an all-hands meeting, told everyone the issue had been resolved thanks to strong leadership under pressure. The room clapped. I blinked. I waited for him to throw even a crumb my way. Mention my name. Nod in my direction. Nothing. He wrapped up with a smile and said, "Let's hear it for the team." Then he looked me dead in the eyes and winked. That was the moment my stomach dropped. And I knew something was about to go terribly wrong. The day after that meeting, something felt off. You know that weird tension in the air when everyone knows something but you? Like walking into a room and the music cuts out. That was Tuesday. People were whispering around the snack bar. Slack channels went oddly quiet the moment I typed a message. Even Kelly from HR, who normally greeted me with that fake chipper voice, just nodded and scurried off when I passed her desk. By lunch, I found out what the buzz was about. Rick Stanton, the same guy who once told me my code was fine but lacked polish, got promoted to vice president of product. I stared at the Slack announcement like it had been written in a different language. Rick's tireless leadership during a crucial turning point has reshaped our client retention strategy and helped secure a multi-year contract with Titan Edge. Titan Edge. My fix. My damn code. People were already dropping celebratory emojis like confetti. The founders reposted it with clapping hands. Someone from marketing commented that Rick was a crisis killer. I was not even mentioned. No tag. No thanks. No trace. At 6:42 p.m., while everyone else had left for Rick's little impromptu champagne toast on the rooftop patio, I was still at my desk, staring at the Nerveline code base. My fingerprints were on every file. I felt hollow. Not angry. Not yet. Just numb. Until Rick came down around 7 o'clock. He was holding a half-empty glass of Prosecco, cheeks flushed, grinning like a man who had just won a game he never deserved to play. He leaned on my cubicle wall and said something I will never forget. "I know you're a little surprised, but that's just how this works, Trav. You do the work. I handle the messaging. We make a good team, huh?" He clinked his glass against the edge of my desk and walked away. That was the moment the numbness cracked and the anger started seeping in. I showed up early the next morning. Like always. Coffee in hand, hoodie half-zipped, eyes gritty from another sleepless night. I had not even hit my desk yet when I noticed something strange. My keycard would not let me into the dev wing. Beep. Red light. Beep again. Still red. I stood there like an idiot for a full minute before Carlos, one of the junior devs, walked by, and waved his card. The doors slid open instantly for him. He gave me a weird look, mumbled something about maybe maintenance, and kept walking. By the time I reached my workstation, it was already powered down. Monitor off. Chair moved slightly. That unsettled me more than anything. I booted it up. Password rejected. I tried again. Still nothing. It took about 5 seconds for the panic to set in. I checked my phone. Slack was logged out. So was GitHub. My admin access was revoked. Every single door I had built in that system closed on me. I went straight to Kelly in HR. She greeted me with a stiff smile and said, "Hey Travis, could you come into the conference room for a moment?" I had worked here long enough to know what that meant. There was already a file on the table. A manila folder. That damned folder. She said they were restructuring. Downsizing. That my role had been reevaluated due to a shift in organizational needs. I asked if this was about money. She shook her head. I asked if this had anything to do with Nerveline. That question changed her whole face. Her voice lowered a notch, like she was suddenly reading from a legal script. "I can't discuss internal intellectual property matters, Travis." I was out. Just like that. 6 months of overtime. One game-changing product fix. Gone in 22 minutes. I walked out with a cardboard box and a severance check that might cover 3 weeks of rent. And as I hit the parking lot, I saw Rick on the rooftop again. Same glass. Same smug grin. Only this time, he was not alone. He was shaking hands with the CEO. And laughing. I sat in my apartment that night, staring at my monitor like it might punch me back. No job. No references. No explanation. Just a polite gut punch and a box full of USB drives. Every time I tried to move on, something pulled me back to that last line Rick said. "You do the work, I handle the messaging." Like he was trying to train me to be grateful for being erased. But here's what he forgot. I had built the system. I was the one who designed the authentication layers, the alert protocols, the traffic reroute modules. And somewhere along the way, while they were off hosting rooftop parties and sipping their lukewarm bubbles, I had quietly added a shadow log. A diagnostic tool. Completely legal, totally internal, meant for debugging. I never documented it. Never mentioned it. Just in case something ever went sideways. And now? Well, I guess things were officially sideways. I launched it from an old dev laptop they had never asked me to return. Within seconds, I had a real-time window into the Nerveline backend. Logs, pings, update pushes, all of it. And that is when I saw something that made my hands go cold. The new patch, the one Rick claimed as his miracle, was glitching. Bad. The system was quietly failing route optimization in several high-density zones. Delivery times were slipping. Clients were flagging tickets. And no one up top seemed to notice yet. But I knew what was coming. If left unchecked, this bug would tank their entire Titan Edge deal. And guess who they would blame? Not Rick. No. They would dig up one of the older commits, see my name on it, and say I left a mess behind. That was their insurance policy. That is when I made the choice. I would not beg for a job back. I would not send a passive-aggressive email. I would burn the lie down from the inside. I spent the next 48 hours surgically documenting every fault in the system. Not just the glitch, everything. Memory leaks, routing loops, faulty input filters. All of it. I built a report thicker than a phone book and time-stamped everything with logs that traced back to after my last commit. That was key. I had to make it undeniable that the failure happened after they kicked me out. I drafted a clean, professional message and sent it anonymously to Titan Edge's tech liaison, the same guy who had emailed us months earlier with complaints. I attached the evidence, named no names, and let the code speak for itself. I did not ask for money. I did not even sign it. Just wrote, "You are being misled. These issues could cost you millions. Someone should have told you." Then I sat back and waited. It only took a day. Word traveled fast. By Thursday, rumors were flying across LinkedIn and private Slack groups. A source inside the company said the Titan Edge contract had been frozen pending internal review. People were panicking. And Rick? He started bleeding out in real time. I watched from the shadows as he scrambled to deploy new fixes. But he was out of his depth. He tried to rework the routing logic without touching the base layer. That is like trying to fix a broken ankle by changing your shoes. Titan Edge replied 3 days later. They were initiating a full audit. And just like that, the house of cards began to wobble. I did not celebrate. Not yet. Because this was only part one. The truth had only started to leak. I still had one card left to play, one that could not just expose what happened to me, but blow a hole through the entire story Rick had built around himself. I was prepping to send the second wave emails, messages, and data dumps that would trace how Rick had taken credit for work he never touched, when I noticed something strange in the logs. A second account. Not mine. Not Rick's. It was accessing my old diagnostic tool. Quietly. Just skimming logs. Not changing anything. Just watching. It was tagged as a temporary admin account, but that was a lie. The trail led back to an internal user, Marcy Lynn. My stomach turned. Marcy was one of our product managers. Friendly, smart, sharp. We had worked together for months during the early Nerveline builds. She was always respectful. Stayed late with me during beta sprints. Even brought coffee when I looked like death warmed over. I thought she had my back. But her user activity said otherwise. She had been logging into my module 2 weeks before the big fix went live, right before Rick claimed credit. Not only that, she had cloned the file that contained my core patch notes, my architecture, my build pipeline, which meant she had been feeding it to Rick. I could not believe it at first. I reread the logs 3 times, but the timestamps lined up. She had helped him steal my work, and now she was trying to cover their tracks. It hit me then. Rick never could have pulled off the promotion pitch alone. He was a talker, not a builder. Marcy had been the bridge. She handed him my work on a silver platter and stayed just far enough in the background to dodge fallout. Until now. I had proof. And suddenly, I was not just exposing Rick. I was about to take down the one person I thought I could trust. I spent the weekend building a dossier. Yeah, it sounds dramatic, but when people try to erase your name from your own creation, you stop playing nice. Every access log, every code clone, every suspicious timestamp, it was all there, tied to Marcy and Rick like a digital fingerprint. But then I made a mistake. I wrote an email. Not anonymous this time. Straight from my personal account. It was angry. Too angry. I said everything. How they used me. How Rick stole credit. How Marcy dug through my work like a raccoon in the trash. I said I had evidence. I said I had already leaked part of it. I told them there was more coming. I meant to let it sit in drafts. But I hit send. It was like my hand moved before my brain did. I stared at the screen. Message sent. No way to unsend. No way to hide now. 5 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. Unknown numbers. Then an email from a corporate legal representative asking to discuss a matter regarding proprietary code misuse. Then Marcy replied herself. No apologies. No denial. Just 6 cold words. You do not know everything, Travis. That line echoed in my head. And then I realized she was right. I knew what they took, but I did not know what else they had already done with it. That night, I started searching for contracts. I found something buried in a company blog post from a week ago. Nerveline 2.0 coming soon to our international clients. International clients? That was never in the plan. Unless they were planning to license my system overseas. For real money. And bury my name completely. I knew I had to go nuclear. The same tech blog that once ignored my pitch emails now had a full inbox from me, with a new subject line. Internal whistleblower report. Nerveline fraud at scale. Inside was the full story. Evidence of stolen code. Screenshots of the commit logs. Emails where Rick had repackaged my design doc with a signature on it. Timestamped admin access logs showing Marcy's silent data grabs. And a final kicker. A leaked internal memo about monetizing proprietary route data for EU-based logistics clients, something I never approved, and something that broke about a dozen data compliance rules. I expected silence, but they ran with it. That Monday, their front page lit up with the headline. Startup's Golden Boy VP accused of code theft and data misuse. Whistleblower speaks out. I watched it spread like wildfire. Reddit picked it up. A few tech subreddits turned it into a meme. Someone posted a side-by-side of Rick's smug promo photo and a raccoon rummaging through trash. Then came the real fallout. Titan Edge issued a public statement. We are reevaluating all current vendor relationships in light of recent allegations. Within 2 days, their stock dipped. By Wednesday, Rick was placed on administrative leave. By Friday, he was gone. Fired. Just like that. And Marcy? She scrubbed her LinkedIn, deleted her Twitter, and disappeared from Slack. Word inside was she had resigned to explore other opportunities. They called it a coincidence. I called it a coward's exit. And me? For the first time in months, I could breathe. But that breath was short-lived. Because a week later, my phone rang. Blocked number. And the voice on the other end? Not Rick. Not Marcy. It was someone much higher up. Someone with a calm tone and a message that stopped me cold. You made a lot of noise, Mr. Dean. Now we want to make you an offer. The call came just after 10 on a Thursday morning. My phone lit up with no caller ID. Normally, I would have ignored it. Those calls usually meant spam, or worse, someone from the company trying to pressure me into silence. But something in my gut told me to pick up. A smooth, low voice came through the line. Travis Dean? I paused. Speaking. This is Daniel Rowe. I sit on the board at Kessler Group, your former employer. I did not say anything right away. I just let that sit in the air. The Kessler Group. The people who had let Rick run the ship into the iceberg, smiling all the way. He continued, calmly, like he was reading from a perfectly prepared press release. We have been following the situation closely. I wanted to personally acknowledge the revelations. You showed initiative, integrity, and frankly, you may have saved the company. I almost laughed. But he was not done. We would like to discuss an opportunity to bring you back. Officially. With a clean slate. That phrase, clean slate, made my stomach turn. Like they were trying to erase the entire mess without actually cleaning any of it up. I asked, why now? There was a short pause, then he said, because people trust the man who told the truth. And we need that trust to survive. I leaned back in my chair, staring out the apartment window. The skyline looked different that morning, like it belonged to someone else. Daniel kept talking, trying to sweeten the offer. A full leadership role. Vice President of Engineering. Equity options. A media strategy to reintroduce me as the architect behind Nerveline. He said the word vindication like it was something I should be grateful for. He even mentioned press appearances. A redemption arc, he called it. I wanted to ask him if he had practiced this pitch in front of a mirror. If he knew how hollow it all sounded. They had not changed. They were just reshuffling their deck. Rick was gone, sure. But the system that let him thrive? Still there. Still built to reward the loudest voice in the room while grinding down the quiet ones who actually made things work. And now they wanted to paint me as the comeback kid? The same people who threw me out like garbage wanted me to be their PR mascot? I stared at the floor for a long time after I hung up. It would have been so easy to say yes. A fat salary. A team of my own. A chance to walk back in with my name on the damn door. That would have made for a great Instagram post, right? But deep down, I knew what it would cost me. Because I had seen behind the curtain. They would never really let me lead. They would dangle the title and pull the strings behind my back. They would quietly rewrite history, polish their version of events, and if something went wrong again, they would let me fall. Twice. So instead, I opened a document I had been working on in silence. A white paper. For a platform I had dreamed about since college. Open routing logic. Public audits. No black boxes. No Rick-style middlemen. Just code and community. I was already in talks with 2 small logistics firms. Nothing flashy. No rooftop parties. But they were listening. They wanted real tools, not marketing hype. I emailed Daniel back later that day. Short and clean. Mr. Rowe. I appreciate the offer, but I am no longer available for hire. I am building something better. Something honest. Wish you luck cleaning up your mess. Travis Dean. No threats. No anger. Just truth. I never got a reply. But 2 days later, someone from legal sent me a friendly warning wrapped in legalese, reminding me not to disclose trade secrets. It was pathetic, because the one thing they never understood? The real value is not the code. It was me. And now they had to watch from the sidelines as I turned the thing they stole into the foundation of something they could never buy back. I launched the beta version of my platform 3 months after that call. No flashy name. No buzzwords. Just function. Clean UI, open APIs, real transparency and route optimization. Every piece of code was published in public repositories. Bugs were logged in real time. Nothing hidden. Nothing stolen. I called it threadbare because that was what they had tried to leave me with. A threadbare career, reputation, and future. But it turned out, a lot of people were tired of being lied to. Freight companies, small-time distributors, even solo owner-operators, they all started coming in. At first just curious, then committed. They gave feedback, ran pilot tests, offered contracts. It was not explosive growth. No million-dollar checks overnight. But it was steady, honest. And I felt something I had not felt in years. Purpose. No more rushing to meet fake deadlines or covering for spineless bosses. No more late nights rewriting someone else's broken idea just so they could take credit on Monday morning. Just work that mattered. But I would be lying if I said I never looked back. Sometimes I still check the news. Kessler Group never fully recovered. Their international expansion failed. Europe pulled out due to compliance uncertainties. A whistleblower investigation leaked into public view. Shareholders fled. The startup that once boasted about changing the future of logistics started quietly laying people off. Rick never resurfaced in tech. Last I heard, he had pivoted into consulting, something vague and inflated. Marcy? She showed up at another SaaS firm 2 states over. But the stink followed her. Her name still lit up comment threads with terms like plagiarism and ghost dev. I thought about sending them one final message. A screenshot, maybe. My dashboard. A map filled with live clients. A small win. Proof that the ghost they tried to bury had built something living. But I never hit send. Not because I was afraid. Because I was done letting them live in my head. Truth is, I never needed their recognition. I just needed to know that what they did to me would not define me. And now? It does not. But let me be real for a second. It still hurt. Getting tossed out like nothing. Watching someone else celebrate your blood, sweat, and breakdowns. That kind of betrayal gets in your bones. Makes you question your worth. Your instincts. Your sanity. I spent weeks after the layoff wondering if I had imagined it. Maybe I had not done enough. Maybe Rick really had improved it. Maybe I was too quiet, too naive, too trusting. But then I looked at the code, and it told me everything I needed to know. I had built something solid. I had saved them, and they had repaid me with silence and manipulation. So no, I do not forgive them. But I do not need to. Because here is the thing they forgot. You can take someone's title. You can even take their job. But you cannot steal their mind. You cannot fake being the one who gives a damn. And now? They have nothing but quarterly losses and an empty rooftop. Me? I have purpose. Clients who trust me. A product I believe in. And my name, finally, on something that matters. Not just in a Git commit, but out in the world. The ghost in the break room? He is not a ghost anymore. He's the one they should have never underestimated. And if there is one lesson I hope someone takes from this, maybe someone stuck in their own version of a fluorescent-lit hell, it is this. Corporate loyalty is a myth. If you are quiet, they will call you forgettable. If you are humble, they will call you weak. If you give everything, they will take more. But if you build something real, they cannot take that from you. Ever. If this story hit home, or made you feel something, leave a comment. Would you have taken their offer? Drop a like, hit subscribe, and share your thoughts below.